Okay, folks, well, I don't remember where I was at or what I was doing or who I was talking to or my name for that matter. But we're finally back down here. It's been a couple weeks on the road for work. But I wanted to show you some stuff here. I really don't remember if I've showed you this or not. On these heads, we ran into an issue, and I did end up having to take them into the machine shop. So as you can see, I repainted them and missed a spot right there because of tape. But what I wanted to show you is this. I think I may have mentioned it, but the reason I had to take these into the machine shop is because, well, these valve guides, they were 545 thousandths valve guides, and my particular machine shop uses 500 thousandths for their seals and all that stuff. So I did order new seals, as you can see. Well, those aren't actually even the ones that I ordered. These are the ones that from the machine shop. Those are 500,000 seals. My seals are right here that I had ordered. And I went through and started putting them on, and I was told to check the distance from the top of that seal to right here, the bottom of that retainer, the bulged out rounded part, not up here on the flat surface, down here. And that measurement should be at least 50 thousandths more than your maximum valve lift. Because what ends up happening is this retainer comes down and hits the top of these seals. And that's what ruins the seals, and it can do more damage than just that. So here are the seals that were on the heads. And I don't know if there's any bad ones in here. Some of them were okay, some of them were bad. But I think, if I remember right, you guys seen me looking at one of these little springs that was up on the valve stem, and I was trying to figure out, see, those are all three still good. I was trying to figure out why it was up there, and I discovered that, here's a bad one, the top ring on this that holds the spring on, as you can see, this one's substantially shorter than this one, it broke off and let the spring come off, and that's because the retainer was sitting there pounding the top of these seals. So these are PTFE seals, the ones that were on the heads. And these blue ones here, these are Viton seals, or Viton, however you want to say it. These seals are actually shorter in height than these PTFE seals are. And you can clearly see these are substantially bigger diameter at the base than these are. But, so I started putting these new seals on. These little guys here, these are also Viton seals, and you can kind of see, if I can set it down, you can kind of see how much shorter the top of this seal is versus one of these other seals. So that did give me more clearance. However, I only had 500, I had 560 for my max, or for my clearance, and my maximum cam lift is 550. So I only had 10 thousandths leeway to play with. And if you float a valve, or whatever, that thing's probably going to smack the top of that seal. And being that we're putting a manual valve body transmission in this car, I've never owned anything with a manual valve body. I can already tell you right now that I'm going to forget to shift it and probably float a valve or something. So that being said, I took these into the machine shop, had these guides ground to 500 thousandths diameter, and then they took them down deeper. I don't know if they took them 80 thousandths deeper or 100 thousandths deeper. I don't remember, but at any rate, this clearance number now from the bottom of that bulge to the top of that seal, we have plenty of room to where we don't have to worry about ever hitting that seal with the retainer. The other thing I did, since I obviously pulled these back off, I had to buy new head gaskets and all that stuff. I might be able to show you here. They did repolish all my valves for me. Got those all cleaned up. As you can see in there, they are very nice and clean. And then when I brought them home, I cleaned all the combustion chambers. And then you can kind of see in there, I got them all nice and cleaned up. The intakes and the exhausts. And I did that by using die grinder, and you can order these kits with all these different little size brushes in there. And you can take the smallest ones, and these balloon out when you kick this thing on. Yeah, these are supposed to only be used with 4,500 RPM, but I used them with 25,000 RPM. These are actually 25,000 RPM ones, but they're a little big. But you can see how they balloon out. And once you put it in there, into your port, you can turn that baby on, and it'll balloon out and clean the whole inside of that port. I would flip this up, but I don't know if my valves are gonna fall out. I don't have springs or nothing on them. So anyway, what we're doing right now, we're in the process of figuring out our installed spring height, and I don't have a valve spring micrometer yet. It will be here tonight because these heads had 5 shims in them, and I don't remember what valve they went under or what valve they were on. So that's what we're gonna do next. But I just wanted to give you an update. It's been a while. You've been watching Professor Matt's videos, which I thought were very good. If you haven't seen any of those, you should probably go back and check one of them out. But anyway, since we're here, I'll show you how this works here quick. If I can get what I'm working on in frame. There we go. So these seal kits, they come with these little sleeves. You slide it over the top of your valve stem so that your seal doesn't catch as you slip it down the valve. And this is obviously easier to do with the heads off. You can very easily do this with the heads still on the car. You just have to have an air hose keeping the cylinder pressurized. And for these 500 thousandths seals, I'm using a 12mm socket. It fits fairly tight around that spring, but will press itself on. And then you just go ahead and tap these down. There you go. There's your seal. Take your sleeve off, slip it on the next one, and keep going. You don't need, sure, you can get a special tool, you can make a special tool. I've had no issues with using a 12mm socket. It's not damaging the seals whatsoever. I did damage one seal when I first started putting these on last night because I used a 13mm socket, which was what I was using for my old seals. And you can see right around this outer lip, it started to peel that Viton rubber off. So, not gonna use that one. It was this one here, I replaced it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting all my seals installed on here. When I go to check the installed spring height, I will show you how I do that. And then we can finally get these heads together. And back on the engine for the second time. Oh, I did get this tapped out. the crank tapped out and Healy coiled. I was able to use 2 Healy coils. It's a little tricky, but it can be done. So that's on there. Yeah, very slow progress. Also, quick note, for any of you that may watch this video, out of the 10 that watch our videos, if you think that using one of these on the cylinder head ports is a bad idea, you can visit your local engine shop and see how they do it. You know, stick your head up one of the machinist's butts and ask him, or you can take my word for it, because this is how they do it. And he told me the stuff to buy to do it. So anyway, just want to toss that out there for y'all. Okay, well, we got our installed height micrometer here. This little feller here from Amazon, I'll pull it off there and kind of show it to you. You've got 2 scales on this thing, and if you open her up, you can see the second scale here. This is your second scale, and then you've got numbers around the barrel. So this is set up, this is a 1.5. So the way that you would read this is just say you have it installed on your valve, and she's tight right there. You would have 1.9, because you're just at the 9 here, and then you're at a 5, so it'd be 1.905, if that makes sense. You're starting with your 1, because that's what you got here. And then your 9 would be your first number after your decimal point, and then your hundreds and thousands would be here. So this reads 0, and then there's a dash, and then a 10, and then a dash, and then a 20, and a dash. So there's 5 between these. So right here you'd have 1.05 or 1.905, and I'll kind of show you here. I went through the head and measured all of these. You're looking for your shortest value, and my shortest value is 1.860, and I've got a 1.916 down here. So I put 2 shims on it. Each shim is 15 thousandths. So you'd essentially be taking 30 thousandths. You'd be shortening it by 30 thousandths. So let me run this back down here so I can get my keepers in. And you'd set him in there, and then you put your keepers on. Try to stay as much out of the way of the camera as I can. Once you get your keepers on, you pull it up to hold everything in place, and then you run your bottom barrel down, and you know, keep your front scale where you can see it. So you run her down here until she sits in the pocket. You don't have to go absolute ham on it. And just make sure there's no play, you know what I mean? No up and down play or anything like that. And we are not quite to the 9, so we're on the 8. So we'd be 1.880. And we started at 1.916, so 1.880. With 2 shims, so 30 thousandths, you take 30 thousandths off 1.916, and you guys can do the math. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of how that works. So I'm basically just going to go through these and shim them all until essentially they're within 15 thousandths of each other, of the shortest. You know, you want everything within 15 thousandths of your shortest measurement. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. These things are like 15 bucks on Amazon. Really not too bad. It's small, easy to keep in your toolbox because you'll use it once and never look at it again and have to relearn how to use it. Since we're kind of on the subject here, let's also talk about coil bind. Your installed height, which is what we're after, we're going to go for 1.860. Get everything within that 15 thousandths margin. So that's your installed height minus max lift of your cam, which the max lift on this cam in this engine is 550 thousandths. So you take your installed height minus your max lift of 550 gives me 1.310. That's your open height. That's when your valve is all the way open. And then to figure out your coil bind, you take one of your springs, throw her in the old vise, and compress it all the way, and then measure it with your dial caliper here. And we got 1.079. So your open height, obviously you want to be greater than your coil bind, and we are good. So that's just another thing you need to make sure that don't buy a freaking cam that's so big that you're gonna be binding your coils. Otherwise you're gonna have to get your spring pockets and your heads ground to increase your installed height of your spring so that you have clearance for your open height and you're not getting coil bind. Yeah, that's all there is to that. Easy measurements to make when you have everything all apart. I need a shim kit. I started shimming some of these up and ran out of shims. The passenger head, or the driver head actually looks really good. Everything, I think I might need like 2 shims, maybe 3 shims for the driver's side head, which is consistent to what it was when I took it apart. I just don't know, I don't remember what valves they were on, the springs were on, but I know on the driver's head, I think we only pulled 2 shims out of it. But I don't know, things can obviously probably change a little bit over time with these engines running. And we did just get the valves, got the valves ground, put a 3-angle valve job on them, and ground the seats in the heads as well. I forgot to mention that earlier that we had that done. It already had it done, just got it all freshened back up, which can change your measurements for shim packages and stuff too. So anyway, that's it for tonight. It's late, it's dark out, it's pouring rain, storming like a son of a gun. It's time for dinner. Fat kid's gotta eat. See you tomorrow. All right, folks, back at her. Okay, we got some shims. These are 60 thousandths thick. These are 30 thousandths thick, and then mine are 15 thousandths thick. So as you can see, this head's done. Everything's shimmed, back on and torqued with all my new ARP stuff. Push rods are back in. Now we're working our way through this head. We only have 2 left to go. This intake valve right here is a 1.859. We're not going to do anything with it because our target is 1.86. So that one's just going to get a spring on it. And our last one here, the exhaust valve, that is a 1.89. So 9 minus 6 equals what? That's right. It goes in the square hole. 30. So we're going to throw a 30 thousandths shim in there, and I'll show you how it turns out. First, I'm going to get this intake valve on, and then we'll do that one. How's that sound? So you guys can hang out and watch me for a minute here if you want to. And all I've been doing is just making sure that all this good stuff here is clean. Your retainers are clean. Your springs are clean. You know, all that fun stuff. Nothing was really that dirty, but never hurts to clean her up. Double check, make sure. All the fun stuff. Hey, it's Friday night. I don't have to work tomorrow. It'll be my first day off since October 19th. I'm excited. Today is November 1st, by the way. So, there we go. Everybody's cleaned. You can look at your springs and try to find the witness mark from the retainer, which would be this side for this one in particular. We'll stick him on there. This thing is, this compressor is, it's fine, I guess. It works. It's kind of a pain just because it don't push the spring straight. It kind of likes to kink it over. And I have a wadded up microfiber underneath the head so that the valve's not pushing on the top of the toolbox, if that makes sense. So anyhow, anyway, go ahead and pull her down, and I kind of just been wiggling her back and forth a little bit just to make sure it is happy. Like I said, it wants to try to push the spring, and we don't want that, so, or sorry, push the spring crooked. Here I am talking, I lost my retainer. Get over there. You know where you're supposed to be. All right, there's that one. Take that off and I'll show you. Whoa! Don't knock your micrometer off, Stu. All right, so we needed 30 thousandths shim in this guy. So these silver ones here are 30, and they say this side up on them. Pay attention. Throw him down in there. Put a check mark that we used a 30 because I gotta pay the machine shop. They just gave me piles of these. And then we'll put that guy on there, and we'll come over and get our keepers, oops, and our last spring. Retainer. Slip your retainer on there. And then slip your keepers in there. And I gotta set you down for this part. And spin that around so you can see your front numbers. And we'll run this down here. And basically I'm just double checking that that's gonna get us close. All right, so we got 1.854. Go ahead and write that down. 854. Just so I can keep track of all these. You can loosen this back up and wiggle it around, make sure everybody's seated good. Got 1.855 that time. You're gonna get inconsistencies. Just don't freak out about it. As long as you're within 15 thousandths or so of each other, you should be fine. Unless you're like going ham and trying to get every single last waking half of a horsepower out of this. But you got to remember, these springs, you know, they're rated whatever you got. You know, these are 340 pounds over the nose, which basically means when it's installed. But these springs are going to be inconsistent. They're not going to be exactly alike. So, you know, if you're off by 5 pounds on a spring, 5 thousandths over here is not going to matter. I can promise you. Promise you that. So let's go ahead and look for our witness mark. I'm just putting them all the same direction they came out just because I can, why not? Put that in there. Thread our sum bead down on there. I've been running it almost to the bottom of the stud. Lift our head up, move our fiber over to the other cylinder. Grab our bar. See, that one tried to catch a little bit. So you just gotta wiggle it around. You'll get her eventually. I have had a couple of these fight a little bit, but there it is. That head is complete. Everybody's shimmed appropriately. And there's all my numbers written down. Look at all the scribble marks. Looks like a 5th grader wrote it. Pretty good. All right, I just got to clean some paint off the exhaust manifold ports there. Check my surfaces, make sure everybody's happy over here. And we're going to drop that head on.